And we are live again. WrestlePurists Worldwide, hosted by myself, Ibu of WrestlePurists, better known to some of you guys as Backup Hangman and Joe Hulbert. We got a lot to get into as always, but especially so today because we haven't been live since the AEW Dynamite review, and since then, there's been the WrestleMania kickoff conference, there's been the usual shows, there's been the New Japan New Beginning show, there's been, updates on the fallout from Scott D'Amore being fired from TNA, Rossi being fired by Bushiroad Stardom. There's a lot to get into, but yeah, man, we're going to get into all of it, well, as much of it as we can. First things first, though, please like, subscribe, send any super chats for any questions, any takes, any opinions, anything like that, and we'll get them read out as soon as we can. Turn on our post notifications. Hope everyone is doing good. Starting with my fellow co-host, Joe Hulbert. What is going on?
Nothing much, mate. As you said, it's been too long. Lots happened since the last time we did this. We have a lot to catch up on, so I'm not going to waste too much more time. I'm just going to say, hope everyone is well, and happy Worldwide Day, right?
Yeah, man. Happy Worldwide Day. Happy Monday. I like Mondays. I'm one of those weird people that likes Mondays. I was having a
That is weird,
conversation with my mum earlier, but she was also perplexed by this, So anyway, look, you said not wasting too much time. Ibu, what's going on with you?
A lot. I'm very, 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 very busy these days. Just a very busy person, but always find a way to make the towns because WrestlePurists Worldwide is the place to be, and so I'm here. I'm here to talk about the wrestling that I watched a lot of this weekend, most of which was very good. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm ready to get into it.
Yeah, man, we got a lot to get into.
Oh yeah, I haven't been here since fucking before the presser. So
this is what I'm saying. None of us have, bro. This is what I'm saying. We got a lot to get into. We're gonna Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns. It's official. The press call it a press conference. The kickoff event for WrestleMania 40. But yeah, let's just dive straight in.
Cody fucking Rhodes.
Before the build up crazy. Let's get into some of these super chats. Appreciate you guys as always. Keep them coming, and we'll get them read out as soon as we can. Mazfan84 199, appreciate it. Ice Cube Junior's Twitter, Fed fan parody or bad taste.
He just has a certain type of opinions, and he's very vocal about them. And
he's very vocal about them.
Very vocal about them. He did you guys see my back and forth with old Cube Junior?
No. I try to ignore it whenever I see it. To be honest. When Ibu branches out to the rest of the outer world, wrestling Twitter world, it's I try to play blind.
Basically, to make it short, it was the post where I said that Garcia was in his Bret Hart New Generation TV match era, and he replied, and he was like, "Bret the Hitman Hart or Bret Hart from Costco?" And I was like, "The Hitman, Cube Jr." And he's just like, he basically was like, "That's blasphemous." And I was just like, "Well, this is what I meant, Cube Jr." And I explained to him my logic, and he just liked the comment, and that was the end of the exchange. So my perspective on Cube Jr. is that I think most of his opinions are pretty unfortunate, but I'm not offended by them. I just don't agree with them. And it's kind of the end of that.
Karan, 200 rupees, appreciate you as always. It's unfortunate that New Japan Cage match went on for 15 more minutes because I felt like it was great and flew by for about 4:45, and then it just kept on going and going. Watching with late night grin helped. Yeah, you did. You did the watch along very early in the morning, didn't you, Joe?
We did. Yes, myself, Charlie of Great Britain and WrestlePurists, the confirmed shoot, and Young Dukes, and those American fellas, they hit the wall in that main event. It was like 5:30. Charlie and I, of course, we were whole day ahead of us, glorious here in Great Britain. So, but yeah, it was a great time. Brian and Zach, and that was like the perfect match for Grin Along. It was wonderful to watch together. So, tremendous times.
And your rag 40 rupees, appreciate you as always. Dragon ZSJ, wow, beautiful, violent art match of the year. Tremendous stuff.
Fantastic match.
And here begins the Backup Hangman controversy.
Oh my god.
Ibu's wings, $5, appreciate you. Salty, savoury, and preferably swallowed. Try our 5-piece combo for only $4.99.
It's actually $6.99, but yeah. Jesus. They were good. Listen, a lot of controversy on Super Bowl Sunday during this whole thing. An innocuous post on my end that I didn't expect to blow up, but it did. And a lot of jokes were made that were obvious to me once I actually looked at my picture that I took. and a lot of messages from wrestlers in the community, and I was like, why is this a thing? Like, why is this the AO was telling me about this, Monty. He was like, only fucking Ibu's dumbass could make himself the main character during the fucking Super Bowl. And I didn't try to, but I just maintained that these wings were good. So
Well, yeah, like I said, start of the controversy. Phantom FTW £2. What's Triple H negotiating with Ibu's jizzy wings? This is what we're dealing with on this Monday, man.
You know what someone called them to me, Monty? Someone said to me on Discord, "Booings," and I was like, "All right, bro."
Yeah, come on, people. Come on, get it together. Austin Kinkle, $2, appreciate it. When are we getting Hangy Eats? He's not even acknowledging that one. Austin Kinkle, $5, appreciate it. Does Cody finish the story at Mania, or do these record perverts continue with Roman's reign?
Record perverts.
Also, Ibu, you are cooking when it comes to these recent Raws.
Does Cody finish the story? I'm gonna gamble and say I don't want to jinx myself, but I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes.
There was a great moment the other day where Ibu and I were messaging about this, and we were talking about the presser, and we'll get into that in a moment. But at one point, Ibu goes, "Look, man, as long as Cody gets that belt, everything's fine." And I just replied, "Good luck." Like at this point, like genuinely at this point, who knows, right? It's crazy now. Who could have seen where we're ending up? Yeah.
The doors have been blown open. I'd like to think they're gonna do the thing that they should be doing. And quite frankly, as long as they do that thing, they could go fucking nuts with all the rest of this shit surrounding it. Regarding I think he asked me something there. Oh no, he said something about the Raws. Yeah, man, fuck the Awesome Truth.
Zaid Natty 199, appreciate you as always. It's tough being Cody and Punk fans. Am I right, Ibu?
The thing is, though, when they do win, it is glory. It is glorious. You know what I mean? It's gratifying in a way that's hard to explain.
They're very different kinds of winners, though, aren't they?
For sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Punk's very much like the Jose Mourinho mold.
Push 199, appreciate you as always. Very bad feeling about where the tag titles are going.
Yeah, there's an increasing fear, Joe and Monty, that they're doing all the cool tag team stuff right now and getting all the nerdy wrestling out of the way, so that come Mania time, they give this moment to the Awesome Truth. And to that I say that would be unfortunate in the sense that WWE's tag division right now has produced the best wrestling on the TV. And so it'd be a disservice to their own work in this own division that they've built if they just kind of foregoed that and pushed it to the side for Awesome Truth. Now, look, if they want to give those guys a moment against Judgment Day at Mania, at the very least, could you get the belts off Judgment Day before that show so that we could have a proper tag title match on the show as well? They're facing British Strong Style against at Perth, Australia, and are they the guys to take the belt off them? I don't know. I just know that again, Awesome Truth winning the tag belts would be just pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, it's not something I would be I'd be rooting for, but
think about it, Monty. The Usos made these.
I don't want to. Moving on to Trust the Process 34, 999. Appreciate you. One way Rock versus Cody story could look genius if we learn at Mania they were both in cahoots all along. Outsmarted Roman by having Rock befriend him, only to turn on him at Mania, setting up Rock versus Roman at WrestleMania 41. He sounded disgusted.
Oh my god!
I'd rather Rock Roman be set up because Rock blames Roman for the failings of the family, and essentially is basically like, now that I'm up close working with you, you're a fucking piece of shit. Like, you really are just a failure here. And you just do something there where you set that up. I think Rock should honestly probably have to work SummerSlam to bridge this properly. I'd build it where it's just some type of story where Rock is the heel, Roman's the face. Roman gets put over at Mania, and again, it's one of those stories where it's just kind of like Rock is just not convinced that Roman's the right person to sit at the top of the family, and you do something like that.
Jacob Donnelly, $5, appreciate it as always. Cody coming for Roman, but not faster than Ibu on his wings. Jesus.
Garlic parm sauce, folks. Garlic
This
parm.
is kind of vulgar show thus
I
far.
know, man.
Really.
It's graphic. It's just like,
It is,
come on,
isn't it?
people, man. You know, it's a wrestling show. You know, these were his Super Bowl chicken wings. You know, like it's just we don't need this. Hush 199. Rock getting his lick back on Triple H, and still 6-star 499. Appreciate it as always. Much love to 6-star. Thoughts on Sayaka Kurara joining Cosmic Angels at today's Stardom House Show?
This is certainly something that
always hits me in the chin with these every single time. I do solo and 6-star have like 4 questions. No, 4 I haven't got an answer for, but ask anyway. I respect it. I'm for it. I co-sign.
Hell yeah.
Right, let me just take a picture because it's
shout out to the
easy
Cosmic
to
Angels.
take a picture.
Lot of pop.
The bit will reverse when Rossi Pro starts. And I'm like the ultimate loyalist.
Yeah,
the number one fan.
A lot of the popular Stardom stables disbanded last year. Cosmic Angels are still going.
Jamie's opinion is incoming, people.
Okay, right.
Darren
Walker, £2. Appreciate you as always. Since Miro beat Andrade, has he been on TV?
No.
He's been on TV. Didn't he have something where he was like backstage with Adam Pearce? Or am I imagining that?
No. I think he means it's Miro.
You're asking Andrade.
Yeah.
Oh, Miro.
That was terrifying.
Andrade
I thought I missed something. No,
Andrade
he hasn't,
has a vignette tonight. He has a vignette tonight or next week.
Can he not wrestle, please? Is that allowed?
I'd like that, but they're doing the slow debut where you do like the character piece vignettes and stuff. They filmed a cinematic one. They filmed a cinematic one for him.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Vonnie, $4.99. Appreciate you as always.
Oh, no,
hey fam, I've seen them wings, big pause, but if you was cooking them semen demons to feed the ladies, then I'm gonna need to steal that idea. You are sick.
Yeah, that sounds very unfortunate.
Ibu's wings, $2. Here at Ibu's wings, we finish on the story.
Oh come on!
Just... my God. Will Chisholm, $5. Appreciate it. It did pop me to see 52-year-old Rock look bigger than all the guys in that teaser trailer. Law.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Saw the trailer.
It was crazy. Yeah.
Of course, he's seen it.
Oh yeah.
Black Yakuza 94, $5. Appreciate it. Last week was probably one of the most stressful weeks I've had in wrestling now, but we're back at least. All right, let's get into it, man. Appreciate all the super chats. Keep them coming, and we'll take another break shortly to go through them again. But let's get into it. And obviously, the big one since we last went live, I guess, is the official announcement of Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns coming out of the WrestleMania 40 kickoff event. It was called a press conference, but it was just an event with a bunch of angles, you know? Like, it definitely was. I wouldn't call that a press conference. I don't think anyone would.
No. At times, it was like a sort of open mic, sort of improv show. At times, when people were just going out there on their own with a mic and just kind of talking to the people, it was strange, man. Yeah, interesting event. Very newsworthy, though. Very notable. It's certainly something I think people are going to remember because it was different, right? It had a weird, like, kind of distinct vibe. Felt surreal. So it was interesting, definitely.
Yeah, as I said, not much of the press conference. You know, it's not like they were taking questions from media or anything like that. So, as I said, more like just an event with a bunch of angles and just trying to make it feel big time and just doing a bunch of promo for WrestleMania, you know. But yeah, we're going to kind of skip ahead to just the main event stuff really for WrestleMania. So it starts off, Seth Rollins, he comes out and he calls out Cody Rhodes to come and make his decision. But it's not Cody Rhodes that comes out. Roman Reigns, he comes out and, you know, Seth starts things off. They're taking a lot of little jabs at each other, but I'm quite worried about how Seth is coming off, especially after this press conference. But anyway, we're going to get into it. Seth said something like, he showed up to work for once, you know. But Roman just kind of started cutting his promo on Cody Rhodes, calling him Mr. Hesitation. He says it's now the Tribal Chief's decision who gets to face him in the main event of WrestleMania. And he like turns to Seth at one point and he just like, get this bum out of here. You know? It's just like, Seth's just standing there the whole time and, you know. But yeah, Roman says that it's his decision now and he picks The Rock and The Rock comes out. And all kinds of reactions, man. But boos, of course, very loud for Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And yeah, when Rock goes to speak, he lifts the mic to his mouth, and the crowd just starts booing. And then he pauses, and he goes to do it again. And you know, he just kind of goes into his usual Dwayne the Rock Johnson kind of shtick, you know. He says there's we want Cody chants, there was some Cody sucks chants, there was some Rocky chants. Rock was like, I love the passion, guys.
I love that. I love that. Finally, can be the ultimate like babyface or heel opening line, because when he's a babyface, there's that big anticipation. He's like, "Oh my god!" And they're rumbling, and finally. But when he's a heel, he's prepping, and they're like, "Oh fuck yourself, boo!" And he's just like, "Finally!" And his huge boost for it. It's the best.
But yeah, he said, you know, he's happy to be there and see all the fans and the media, and he was also like, I'd like to introduce you all to the Cody Crybabies. And you know, that's when he fully started kind of just going heel. That was kind of like the first sign of him doing it. Obviously, the interview prior to the event, when he first coined the term Cody Crybabies. But you know, at first he kind of came out and tried to do his usual stick. But when he dropped that, he was let's just skip a bit ahead to the part where he pulls the bloodline family tree. This is what I'm here for, Joe Hall. But you know, said he wants to pull up something and show the people something very important to him, and he pulls up on like the huge screen, and it is actually cool. You know, the bloodline family tree thing, and you kind of see literally like everyone. You know. And you kind of like spotting out names from the top to the bottom. A lot of people were spotting Jacob Fatu. Some people were pointing out that The Rock was he was what was the phrase? The High Chief. The High Chief Dwayne. What's his I'm sure none of you are gonna remember, but what's his
I don't know. I didn't
his
see
High
it. I don't know.
Chief name? It's on the bloodline
He did have an official named position that sounded really, really official and was really funny.
I don't know.
But yeah, Dwayne, this is very important to Dwayne, you know, and he says it's clear that there is one dominant family in professional wrestling. You know, a lot of people's ears started to perk up there, like, hold on. Cody Rhodes isn't going to be very happy about that. Cody Rhodes still hasn't came out at this point, and Seth Rollins is just standing there to the side. That's what kills me through all this, because the next time he's even like properly in frame, like, and not just to the side, he's like still another like 10 minutes from this. You know? But anyway, The Rock says that about being there's only one dominant family in professional wrestling, and Roman versus The Rock, whether you like it or you don't like it, it's going to be the biggest WrestleMania match ever, bound by blood. And like to do this, you know, to do the handshake thing, and it's like it's Roman Reigns versus The Rock at WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes comes out, no music, he's kind of just tapping on his mic, you know. He's like, hold on, this right here is bull shit. And he goes into this whole thing about how it's not Roman's choice, it's his choice because he won the Royal Rumble. And he says, Rock, we had a wonderful conversation, but I've had a lot of conversations and I've made my decision, and I choose you, Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns is Roman Reigns is just all perplexed by this. Seth is still just kind of standing to the side, doing nothing, just pulling faces. And Roman just goes off on one saying, you're crazy. The number 2 table will have you now. The loser bracket right there with the dummy in green. Seth is just having to take these shots. You know, he's just... I thought Seth, it was really unfortunate, man. You know, Roman just going out there and burying him, you know. Well, anyway, he says to Cody, you're embarrassing your whole family right now. You're irrelevant just like your father. Cody basically says the same back to him. He calls him an embarrassment to his family. The Rock then gets offended, slaps Cody Rhodes. There's a bunch of commotion. And that's when Seth Rollins finally comes back in and relevant on what we're seeing on screen again. And it looks like I know some people think there will be a tag match, but if there's a tag match, does that mean that The Rock and Roman are going to work back-to-back nights? Which
No,
I don't know. Or is it just promo? You know, like what are we doing here?
The way people have kind of surmised this is going to go is a tag match on night 1, and then Cody challenging Roman on night 2, and Seth fighting the Chamber winner. So it wouldn't be 2 matches for Rock; it would just be a tag for Rock on this year's Mania show. Is how people are figuring this is going to go. Obviously, we'll probably have more insight to this on Friday when Reigns and Rock appear on on Friday Night SmackDown. But yeah, I mean, it looks like that's the direction is the God line of Roman and Rock taking on Seth and someone called them the freaking nightmares. Cody and Seth, which is
all right. Let's leave it. That one can stay there. That's fine. We don't need to do that one.
Yeah, hopefully that one doesn't hopefully they don't actually use that. You know what I mean? But anyway, yeah, it looks like they might do a tag. Triple H did make a big thing of it, Monty. That the main event of Mania 1 was Paul Orndorff and was it Paul Orndorff and Roddy Piper versus Mr. T and Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
So maybe they do another
very similar situation here.
Right. Right. So, the big TV Hollywood star,
Yeah, man.
Dwayne's Mr. T.
Yeah, virtually identical, right? Virtually identical.
Pretty much.
Okay, let's pull the Band-Aid off and just be honest about this. So we're all friends here. No one's watching.
Okay.
The Rock is back, and we'll have to deal with that reality and live with it. And I had to I had to kind of sleep on the press conference and think about what I thought of it. And the only thing I could come out thinking was, I can't believe it, but Dwayne Johnson has convinced me that I'm interested in him doing professional wrestling again, because he was the absolute highlight of this, in that his heel persona that he appears to be going for is going to be like the most believable pro wrestling character ever, because his public image is such that when he had that family tree behind him, you could genuinely buy into the idea that he was sincerely trying to convince the audience that this is the main event. Like, you could actually, based on how he handled the Black Adam thing, it was like, Dwayne he's lost his mind. He's actually just trying to talk to them like he's in class, like he's lecturing them.
Yeah.
Which then meant when you started to see he was going to work heel, it was like, dude, he can walk a line with this that's like very believable. And sincerely, bits aside, that dude's physical presence is still insane. And you noticed it when he was standing on the stage with 3 of the top guys in the business, and he still felt like he was on a different stage. That said a lot, I thought, So that was the big takeaway for me. Now, a lot of the storyline and the storytelling is like kind of dumb and silly and goofy, but The Rock is the headline, bro. He's kind of interesting again. He's back. I don't know.
This is quite a midlife crisis, folks. Here's the thing. Hollywood Rock in 2003 was tremendous. And the thing is, when he was Hollywood Rock in 2003, he was not really a Hollywood star. He was a wrestler that did some movies. There's a big difference. You know what I mean? Now he's actually like a Hollywood gigantic movie star. And like Joe said, like, he's theoretically lost his mind. And so him now being like a delusional motherfucker, it's the perfect framing for him, because I'll tell you what, Joe, I said this when I tweeted that at the presser. This is the most interesting he's been in 2 decades, because what's more believable, that Rock is here to save WWE and the Rock has come home, as he says every fucking 10 years, and he just wants to put on a good match for the fans. Well, this fan base, Rocky, they watch the weekly product, and the match that they want to see is the one that you're actively threatening to take away from them. And so what's more believable is him being this almost self-absorbed egomaniac who's pretty much delusional, and he's just here to kind of like puff up what's going on with him and his family, and almost force-feeding it to a wrestling audience that doesn't want it. And so it's very interesting, and I thought the big moment was when he got in Cody's face, and it was like, wait a second, and he was like, when you come for his family, you come for my family. When you come for his blood, you come for my blood. And he pounds his chest when he says it. And you're like, oh shit. And he's the real Homelander. It's not Cody Rhodes. It's him. He is a public image freak, as someone said in the super chats. He's a public image freak, so much so that he can't like lose any fights in movies. He has to be the good guy in every film. Bro, Black Adam is not a good guy in the comic books, and he basically had to rework the logic of the film to make him essentially like a tweener, because he can't be a bad guy. And so for him to be willing, because the fans are booing, and to go, all right, wrestling fans, I'm gonna make you fucking hate me, is admirable, and I respect it. And it's gonna lead to, like I said, the most interesting Rock we've had in 2 years. And this is gonna lead to some explosive TV, if nothing else. I think these segments are gonna pop big ratings, and I'd much rather get a Rock segment where he's being interesting and new, rather than a Rock segment where he's essentially just kind of doing derivative stuff from before. That's essentially kind of just trite and tired. Like the gender segment, for example.
But
Let
yeah,
me
there's a lot of commotion.
let me
Go
also
on,
let me
Ibu.
also let me also add this. I thought this was compelling viewing in the sense that, and I get anyone who thinks like, oh, this is kind of a mess and like, what the fuck is the story at this point? And there are some plot holes to address that Cody has to address tonight about why did he forego his Mania shot to then take it back. But with that notwithstanding, just as a viewing experience, right? This was fantastic. This was fascinating because it was so complex, not narratively, but in terms of what was actually happening on stage. If you actually pay attention, Joe and Monty, it's four guys in it for themselves, trying to do their best to make themselves look as good as possible. And there's a lot of egos on that stage. There's a lot of testosterone. Roman Reigns is out there to make Roman Reigns look good. Rock is out there to make Rock look good. Cody Rhodes has to, on that stage, match his aura, his intensity, everything. And so there's a lot that's at play when it comes to verbiage, when it comes to body language and everything. And so in that respect, I thought Cody came off as well as he could. I thought Rock obviously, was great. Roman got a bit overshadowed, and Seth Rollins is the big loser here, unfortunately. I thought he honestly should have just went into business for himself and told one of these guys to kiss his ass. But the ad-libbing and the cursing afterwards is awesome. Like, these guys just kind of like cursing at each other, and Seth is like, I don't give a shit if you're a shareholder, you can't do this. And Rock says, I'll do whatever the fuck I want. And he's saying it to Seth. It was all good stuff. So this was very interesting, if nothing else.
Oh yeah, there was the stuff afterwards as well with the Rock and Roman going up to Triple H, and the Rock telling Triple H to sort this shit out. You can't talk to us like that. Talk about our family like that. You don't care. Triple H tried to tell him he was out of line. The Rock just Rock tried to put Triple H in his place, Joe Hall.
He did. And it was at that point I realized, oh no, Triple H is going to be incredibly involved in this angle, and that's going to be
that's kind of real. I'm sorry.
That's going to be hilarious for a range of reasons, and
yes,
probably at times slightly embarrassing. And they're going to have a promo segment where they like relitigate like 1999 or whatever the fuck, and I mean, it's I didn't see the whole Triple H promo that followed this. I know we're going to get to SmackDown later, but that part of it could be dangerous, I think. The one thing I think, you mentioned, Ibu, about there's some plot holes to figure out. Like, I hope they don't go too meta with it, because right now it is like a total inside baseball storyline. Hopefully Cody has an explanation that can at least make it logical within the narrative of the TV show, because right now it's like total like headcanon stuff. So I just would like him to spell that out tonight, and then we can kind of figure out what this story is on the TV show beyond like we think he's being politicked, which is kind of a weird thing.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
So it's now SmackDown like implied it officially that essentially that like, look, there's forces that are trying to take away what you guys want, but I am the head of this show. I run things. The proper main event is Cody and Roman, and that's what you're gonna fucking get. And Heyman's basically the guy going like, the Bloodline will have something to say about that next week. So it's now officially implied, and I think, like I said, we need Cody to officially essentially say that, like, because what is established in the canon, Cody said it on that SmackDown last week, and then he said it on the stage. I had a conversation with Dwayne. We have to now know. He has to say something along the lines of like, look, I had a conversation with Dwayne. His motive seems sincere. He gave me a plan. I decided to adhere to it. Over the weeks, I noticed this and that, and blah, blah. I talked to other people, blah, 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 blah. I noticed, I learned this about Dwayne, or he just something along those lines to kind of fold into what's already been established to make this make sense that like Dwayne's an asshole. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we'll go. Well, the Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns match got made official by Triple H shortly after the kickoff event. We'll go straight into SmackDown because, of course, it's relevant. Since we already kind of touched on it, Triple H comes out, starts SmackDown to address what happened at the WrestleMania kickoff show, and some of the quotes are things like, there were people trying to insert their authority when they didn't have any. The only answers come from one place and one place only, and right now you are looking at him. So Triple H, he is putting his foot down, Ibu.
Yes, he is. And before I say anything on this, Joe, did you know Vince Russo reviewed the
Oh.
SmackDown, and he thought this part was awesome, which had me
Yeah, that
rolling.
makes sense.
He
Yeah.
was he was I had to click the clip, and he was just like, I gotta say, bro, you know I don't enjoy this product, bro. I don't give a shit about Mania, bro. This stuff right here is money. This is money. And he was
That's actually, considering the conversation we just had, that's a scary sign. They need to be careful.
He was like, this feels real, bro. But with that on the side, Hunter is just hilarious, dude. He just has to babyface himself. He saw the fan controversy and said, well, everybody,
My time to shine.
The thing you didn't like was not me. But this thing that you're gonna like is me. I'm gonna ensure that you get what you want. And the people forcing me to do the opposite thing are the bad guys. That's what he's doing. And the funnier part about it is Joe, Monty, as we know, the on-screen authority figures of Raw and SmackDown are Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis. They could have easily had any of those two characters go, hey, we're not going to allow that thing to happen. Cody won the Rumble, A, B, and C. No, because in kayfabe, in this canon, Monty, what they're telling you is Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce are not strong enough to deal with Dwayne Johnson. And so that's when the big gun steps in.
Okay, wait, just stop there. Just there. Think about the sentence you just said and consider where we're at right now. Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis are not strong enough to deal with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. This is a hilarious moment in the timeline.
It is. And so it's like, it's one of those things where, because here's the thing, guys. When other wrestlers kind of like have their arguments backstage with the GM, right? They get to say their little quippy line, and then they walk off the screen, and the GM has to look stupid at the camera looking off in the distance, like, wow, I just got owned. Not Triple H. When you say something to him, he has to hit back with like, we'll see about that. You know, and so in this situation, you know what's gonna happen, guys. Rock's gonna talk shit on Friday, right? And all you're gonna hear is do boom, bow down to the king. And he comes in and he's gonna be like, not on my watch, Dwayne. And they're gonna have this fucking stare down, and he's gonna puff his shoulders and his chest out. They're gonna chant holy shit. You know, it's gonna be one of those deals. So it's very funny. It's really funny that Hunter basically said, I'm gonna insert myself into this and just get some validation from wrestling fans. So it's objectively insane, but I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that, if I said it wasn't very funny, you know. So
I just wonder the payoff, you know, because obviously Triple H can't wrestle, so it's like, does he have a guy who kind of represents him in a
Cody
different
Rhodes.
storyline? No, but I mean like beyond this, you know, because you don't want to have you do not want Cody to be like forever paired with authority. It's just it's not good for a top babyface, especially because if Rock and Roman are on TV together a lot, they are going to be a really cool TV act, and you do not want Cody's friends to be Seth Rollins and Triple H.
And the teacher,
it's, you know, yeah, it's fine for now, but you got to be careful doing that for long. So,
that's a good point.
yeah.
Like, Cody's the guy, and he's my little buddy here, you know, and my little buddy Cody here, his hand on his neck.
Exactly, yeah.
Go get him, Cody.
Yeah, there's quite a few. There's some great and there's some worrying directions all this can go in. So, you know, it's quite intriguing for now. So we'll see where it all plays out. You know, as he kind of mentioned earlier, Paul Heyman, you know, he was saying that Dwayne and Roman are going to be on SmackDown next week, and we'll see what they have to say about the what happened at the WrestleMania kickoff show. So, you know, there's a lot of big business ahead.
Talking about how meta this could get, could you see Rock mentioning to Hunter like, that's interesting, Hunter, politics, cutting people off on the legs, screwing with people's spots?
Yes,
sounds a little familiar, doesn't it?
I absolutely think that's going to happen.
Yeah, because they're not going to put any like restrictions on what Dwayne says. He's going to go out there and say what he wants. Like, so Roman does that anyway.
The Rock for years. Yeah.
Brian Gewirtz, if you're watching this show right now, please give Dwayne a bit about NXT losing the Wednesday Night War. Could you imagine Dwayne sliding in a DIY burial, looking at the people? Like,
Austin's Triple H is like, I'm giving these people what they want. I'm giving them the wrestling they've always wanted. Rock's like, he's like, oh, screw it, give me a break. You know, he
fucking brings up one of the NXT guys, just kicks the shit. Karrion Kross still works here. And everyone's like,
okay, so that would be, so that's the thing. You do need a job guy name in that, like someone to take the fall in that promo line. DIY would be aggressive. That would be unfortunate. Who could we go down a rung? Karrion Kross? Absolutely. He could take
There we
the
go.
L and just hold that L, and you know what I mean? Oh boy.
Oh man. I am interested to see Dwayne's mic work. I am because I said he's not gonna have someone saying, "Oh, you can't say that." It's it's Dwayne Johnson, bro. It's not Roman at the WrestleMania kickoff show. I think he just goes out there and he just says what he wants. Like there's no way that they told him to say that shit about Seth, man. Like there's no way.
No.
But yeah, and even on that SmackDown promo that he did where he buried Seth as well, bro.
That was a receipt.
I know, yeah, but still, like Seth took a little jab. Roman unloaded the clip on him on SmackDown, then did it again. No, that basically happened again at the kickoff show. Seth had a little jab at the start about him coming to work for once, and Roman's just the loser bracket, the number twos. The dummy in green, get this bomb out of here.
I got a question.
It's crazy.
How would you react if the payoff to this was on night one? Seth somehow mustered a pinfall victory on Dwayne Johnson in the tag match.
I'd call the police. Or break my TV. One or the other.
It would be the objective right
reporting an international war crime.
Look, bro, I am not gonna sit on a podcast and say that I'm into the Dwayne Johnson heel run for him to get pinned by Seth Rollins on night one at the run. I'm sorry, bro. I got to draw the line somewhere. I get it would make sense, but you got,
yeah,
let's take it easy.
Limits.
Calm down.
Yeah.
All right. How about this? Let's meet in the middle and be adults. How about Cody counters the people's elbow and gets him with a crossroads?
The correct adult finish is they do one of those shitty double DQs and throw it out. And they brawl to the back, and Michael Cole says, "We'll see you tomorrow night, folks. WrestleMania Sunday."
They're all like, "Let me at him. In the semi-main, it's red hot,
But yeah, we got the official teaser trailer. Which the four men that we've been talking about all involved, except for Triple H. He somehow didn't insert himself into the teaser trailer, surprisingly. But yeah, man, Roman, Rock, Cody, Seth, big face off, cinematic.
If Roman's winning the belt on the Sunday, he might get pinned on the tag match. To be fair, I could see that because then what you could do is the Bloodline could win the tag by beating Cody, and then Cody could beat Roman on night two. And Rock's thing coming out of that could be like, I got the job done when it was the both of us, but you couldn't get it done on your own, and that could kind of create the friction for their eventual match.
There you go. That's the finish. I'd do that in the semi-main.
Yeah, man. But yeah, WrestleVotes, they put out a report earlier on today saying basically, Rock is going to lean into this Hollywood Rock persona. There's going to be Cody Crybaby's merch and things like that. So, yeah, he's definitely going down this, he's going down the heel route. And like Joe said, hopefully you'll be walking a very thin line of, reality, kayfabe, whatever you want to call it, Could potentially be a really interesting, believable character that he's about to pull off. So, It's not like Dwayne's someone that you worry about doing, a good promo or something, unless he just turns into a robot. Which, if he's heel,
he's going to fly, I think.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
So. The one worry, actually, Monty, is because this has happened in the past when he's been a heel. I hope he's not too charismatic that it actually turns fans against Cody Rhodes.
It's going to be a problem. That is scary because, especially him and Roman together. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm a miserable fuck, and even I'm like, that sounds really cool, Like, so you have got to be careful with that. They do have to be genuine bad guys, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll see how they handle it. Like I said, quite a lot of worrying directions and quite a lot of really great directions this whole WrestleMania build with Dwayne can go. So we'll see how it plays out. Of course, starting tonight, really. I'm sure they'll do some replays and video packages, and Cody will probably get a lot of Cody tonight. So we'll see. All right. let's keep it on SmackDown since we already touched on it. We had some Elimination Chamber qualifiers. That's how they're doing it this year. They've already announced 12 people who will be involved in the qualifying matches. I haven't got the list in front of me, but I'm sure you can probably remember or guess some of the names involved. But first people qualified, the first person to qualify was Drew McIntyre on SmackDown last Friday.
Cut
He
a promo on
defeated
CM
AJ
Punk.
Styles. Very, very nice match, man. AJ Styles been looking good since his return. Drew McIntyre is on a roll in ring. I think he's been really great since becoming a heel. And this was just a really good match, Joe.
It was. I kind of loved this, honestly. Not in that it was like a great match, and the finish itself was very cookie cutter. Right, we've had fun before about the announcer, finish. They love that one, but I liked it so much because of how just sharp AJ Styles looked, and these two kind of actually meshed for a while. I know I seem to recall they had a really strong like ladder match or something in the Thunderdome, I think, but that feels like a lifetime ago. TLC, okay, so, but AJ looked honestly quicker and more explosive here than he has in like years. I thought it was interesting. I don't know, maybe it was a motivation thing, an opponent thing. I do think he's looked better since he came back, as you mentioned, Monty. So yeah, this was a really good TV match, and I hope a sign of things to come for like this kind of what you presume is a final chapter for AJ. Right? It'd be nice if he could kind of get back in a rhythm that makes him someone I look forward to watching, because he was that way for most of his career. So yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, man. But yeah, AJ's been looking good, hasn't he, bro?
Yeah, he's making me look bad because I finally publicly declared that he sucks, and then he started to not suck. So, I'm watching that. It's sharp and it's snug and it's kind of stiff, and they're laying the chops in. And really, what it is Drew McIntyre just hits people indiscriminately hard and doesn't give a fuck who it is. And AJ is like, "Oh, we're playing that game? Because I can do that too." And he did. And it was like, wow. The thing with AJ is like, yeah, he doesn't have the burst and the speed and the jumping like he used to, but you can offset that with physicality. Now he cannot do that in a match with Solo Sikoa or Jimmy Uso. And so he's kind of restricted and limited in that respect. But in a match with Drew McIntyre, a world-class wrestler, you really saw that he still has something in there. So I was surprised at how solid this was. I thought this was a really nice match, and it set the tone for a show that had a couple nice matches. And I'd like more of this on the TV. Frankly, this is an inter-brand show because Triple H did the whole like WWE management, Nick Aldis, Adam Pearce, Triple H, we're all a united front. We are together, and so that was the whole excuse for Raw guys being there, and it led to better matchups. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, as it should. Like, if you are gonna like break those rules, at least give me a little Drew versus AJ or something. Yeah, man. We also had number one contenders match. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate defeated DIY. Very nice match again. Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne have looked very good since tag teaming together on the main roster. Since Pete Dunne has become Pete Dunne again from Butch. And man, then number one contender is going to be facing Judgment Day, Elimination Chamber, I believe, in Australia. And that should be a good one, Ibu.
Yeah, it should be. I think British Strong Style are a nice team. I think Pete Dunne has become like kind of underrated. He used to be an overpushed wrestler, but that was talented, but again, maybe a touch too high on the card for where he really should be. But now as like this tag team spark plug guy, he's turned into a really nice TV wrestler, and it's good he has the name back. I like BSS. And I thought the match was kind of unhinged in how they crammed basically like a 16-minute PWG tag into 9 minutes with like no breathing time at all. They just kind of went spot for spot doing really complicated combinations, but it was a lot of fun. So the tag match should be good because Judgment Day, like Priest and Balor, funny enough, I feel like Joe mentioned this or someone has mentioned this, but like neither guy has a high ceiling in singles matches, to be honest, but together is actually like the way to maximize both of them. Like the Priest Balor tag team. So I expect that to be very good because they have very good matches. And like I said, I just hope that they do right by the tag division because it's been the best. It's produced the best and most consistent wrestling on the TV. So looking forward to that. So yeah.
Yeah. Then we had another Elimination Chamber qualifying match. This time, Randy Orton qualifies over Sami Zayn in about 11 minutes in the main event. And I really this one as well. Randy Orton's probably his longest. It's probably his longest singles match, isn't it? since coming back.
I
Sami
think
Zayn.
the Jimmy match I think was slightly longer, but that was the one where they like sat in Jimmy Uso's headlock for like 10 minutes. So it felt like it. To your point, yeah.
It's definitely, I guess, the hardest he's had to work.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sami Zayn, of course. Sami Zayn's been great as always because he is just great, like just great at pacing and laying out his matches, even with a Randy Orton who is not in his physical prime these days and can't, he's not exactly taking apron bumps and stuff like that these days. Sami Zayn had to do a lot of the physical stuff in terms of that aspect. But yeah, Sami Zayn's phenomenal. Randy Orton just has so much like great presence and just charisma, and he can still get through these main event matches, which was a very promising sign that I think you touched on Twitter, Joe.
I did, yeah, because this was kind of, to your point, it was like a look at where Randy's currently at, right? Because as much as we popped for his physique when he returned, I think we were all slightly concerned how that impact things. I think there's reasons to still be concerned because not everyone's going to be Sami Zayn, but they had a really polished TV main event where they kind of plugged in their respective hits. Sami made up for much of the motion, and you could tell that Randy was motivated to kind of, show out a little bit. Now, the big key coming out of this is something that we can't speak to, which is how did he feel afterwards? Because visually he looked like he was in hell. Right now, he may have been selling more, and I don't know. I can't speak to that, but he looked like he was in agony. So that will kind of shape how many more matches we get like this. Because if he was in agony, you can note this down as a collector's item, in which it was the match where Randy did stuff. Because otherwise, he ain't going to be doing it much longer. He's going to go back to doing what he did before, which is his finish. Yeah, but I really like the match. I mean, it was great to see these guys work. I feel like I've never seen them wrestle before. Have they ever worked before? Or they must have at some point, right?
Sammy's been there so much longer than you think now. But we're getting old, people.
No, you're right. Yeah, but I couldn't think of anything. But anyway, it was really good. I liked it.
Randy's facial expressions were like a 2022 Samoa Joe type beat when it comes to like,
for real, yeah.
He's just kind of like not everything. I was on the Holbert House show, which you should check out, by the way.
Yes.
I said that I wondered how Sami's style was going to mesh with Randy's, and then the answer was totally fine because Sami Zayn can do everything, including working a normal traditional American wrestling style match because he can sell and he can punch, and that's all you need. And he filled in a lot of the space before Randy did his comeback very well. And I'll tell you what, if Randy feels up to it, give me more 11-minute Randy matches where he does the superplex because it's a
beautiful superplex, bro. It really is.
It is.
It's probably the best ever, to be completely honest with you, because he gets great extension on it, and he's really tall, so it just looks nice. And he always places it like 3/4 of the way through the match. He has one in his match with Bobby Roode in like 2018. Just a gorgeous 3 3/4 star American wrestling match.
That sounds dangerously worldwide. That match does, doesn't it? That sounds.
Randy Orton versus Bobby.
That was like an Oracle callback or something. That was where he just like pulled out a Randy Orton suplex spot from 2018.
I think that match is for like the US title too, which makes it even more like WCW build, super brawl.
I don't know where I was because I was in this like group at the time with my friends watching this match, and Randy does that superplex, and I just wrote North American Wrestling.
US flag next to it.
So proper. They're actually talking about it now.
We had a pretty decent damage control segment as well, where Bailey's out there cutting a promo. Of course, she's just been turned on by Io, Kairi, and Asuka. And Dakota Kai, who wasn't there last week, she comes out and she's like, "Why didn't you call me? You haven't been replying to my text messages. I had no idea what they were gonna do." Then she basically just played innocent in the sense of she didn't know that, she didn't want to turn on Bailey, and ever since Kairi and Asuka joined the group, it's they've been plotting on Bailey, and she misses how it was when it was just the three of them, and these sort of things, and just getting into Bailey's head. Really, I'm not sure if the fans were quite believing her, which is quite the plot hole in this. But I thought Dakota Kai, as far as a promo goes, I don't think there was anything really wrong with it. She tried her best, but it's a tough one. Obviously, Bailey, of course, kind of went with it, and there was the thing where the rest of Damage Control they came out and they circled the ring, and Dakota Kai grabbed the chair, and it looked like she was going to hit Bailey, but she didn't, and she kind of cleared the ring without actually hitting any of Damage Control. So there's still questions there, and it's um, who knows? Who knows where this is going to go? It is interesting in the sense of like, even if Dakota Kai is just like playing a game, which I know a lot of people expect, but it's like, how is Bailey on her own meant to go up against all of Damage Control?
Yeah. I kind of think it's better if Kota is like, she's being somewhat sincere, but she's going to turn on Bailey her own way at her own time, rather than it being like she's in cahoots with Damage Control. I always think that's better. I think this is like really big for her. Like, I was a big fan of Dakota. I think this is like a chance for her to really get herself over as a personality distinct from, because the whole time she's been up, she's been Damage Control, right? And so I thought she did a good job. Like the reaction to it is going to be, you have to be careful with that because it could make Bailey look dumb, right? Like if you do the thing we just talked about and the crowd knew all along you were going to do it and Bailey didn't, it's like, so you have to be a little careful with that. But I'm a big fan of Dakota and I was glad to see her get this chance.
Which Bailey avoided that problem last week, because in the last week's angle she did the whole thing of like, she said like, I've been in situations like this for years. You think but I've been a wrestler for years. I've known you guys have been talking shit about me, like, and that's good because again, like in these types of storylines where it's like it's so obvious to the fans what the turn is happening, it makes the babyface look really stupid if they just had no awareness. So again, you don't want to sting like early '90s situation where like he's just oblivious to everyone who's obviously going to imminently turn on him. So we'll see how that exits. You know what I mean? So like everybody will fucking
absolutely, yeah.
You're like, oh my friend number 6 turned on me too, and it's like, what the fuck, Sting? But
it should be that like Kota earns her trust by helping her against Damage Control, and then as soon as she gets the belt, it's like, now it's my turn. That's what it should be.
Like what stood out to me, Monty, is this storyline is very over. The crowd is into it. Online fans are really locked in. They want this thing to main event Mania, and the ratings would suggest so as well, because I don't know if you guys saw this, but SmackDown did 2.5 million and a 0.71, and one of the high quarters, the early returns is this angle. So people seem to really, really, really dig this thing.
Yeah, man. And the last thing I'll touch on for SmackDown will be we got a Braun Breaker appearance. He was in the blue. He was in the blue suit meeting Triple H. Paul Heyman interrupts, and he likes what he sees. He likes what he sees. He but WrestlePurists.
Oh boy, yeah, that was. So I already love this because Braun is in a suit, and he looks like an NBA player that just or he looks like a college basketball / football player that just got drafted, and they're shaking the commissioner's hand, and Triple H here is Roger Goodell, and he's shaking his hand, and he's just kind of like, "Hey, Braun, we're proud of you, kid. No, you really worked. You busted your ass. No, you've really done a lot to make it over here." And he's just kind of like, "Yeah, I appreciate it, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity." And some people said like Braun came off like a geek because he's very kind of like, he was like deferring, but I liked it in like a college sports type of way where he's just kind of like humbling himself to get the spot. But the point is, he's weighing his options with Raw and SmackDown, and Heyman being that catalyst to make his decision is sick. If you remember, Monty, what did I say on one of our WrestlePurists news shows 2 months ago? I said when asked about what Braun was going to do on the main roster, that I was told that, quote, Paul Heyman has an unorthodox pitch for him. And it appears that Paul Heyman is getting whatever the fuck he wanted here, because this is now coming into fruition.
I think Paulie may get kicked from. I think Dwayne may kick Paulie from the Super Bloodline. That's my take.
Could you imagine if Rock like
the God line?
The God line.
Yeah, I think that's what this is going to be. Is like his pivot. That's just a guess, folks. I don't know.
How that's like, could you imagine Rock backstage is like talking with the guys, and he's like, "Does this act need Heyman? Do I need Heyman?" And
like Heyman's got to go, and Roman does the big sell. Jimmy's in the background. Oh fuck, Heyman, no way.
You man, Rock just turns to Roman. He's just kind of like, "Prove you're locked in with this family, Roman. Prove you're with me." He has to go.
That's actually beast. He ain't family. That's beast.
Listen, there's hesitation. Roman, for Roman to show he has that dog, he just kind of is like, really? Well, and he just fucking smokes the shit out of him. Oh man. Oh
Yeah,
my!
we'll see how all that plays out. But let's dive into some super chats. So we've got a little bit of a build up, and then we'll go through, I guess, AEW, a little bit of New Japan.
Oh yeah,
Some of the big news over the weekend. All right,
absolutely.
Hush 199, appreciate it as always. Feels like Jacob Fatu's debuting in WWE soon. Who knows, man? Who knows? He was definitely on the family tree. He was on the family tree. Plethora 1C 199, appreciate it as always. When Roman pins Seth and Cody in back-to-back nights. Trust the process 34 499, appreciate it as always. Seth's the type to want to sit in a cook chair in the corner of Ibu's kitchen and watch Ibu quote prepare them wings.
I hope not. I would
It's
not
very
want.
grotesque from
I
you.
would not
Trust
want
the
Seth to
process.
watch me making wings. Yeah.
Black Yakuza 94 $5, appreciate it as always. I honestly have to give it to Rock. He finally has a proper hero he can antagonize, and he immediately takes the role. Generational run.
Well, he
Man,
could have done that with Zachary Levi with Shazam, but he chose not to. So that's what makes this shocking. You know?
KO 20 MX, Triple H versus Rock 30 minutes at SummerSlam. Who says no? Triple H's physical condition. Will
and the
Chisholm.
Rocks for that matter. And the Rocks.
Yeah. Will Chisholm.
Never mind.
Will Chisholm $20. The Rock and Triple H still going at it on storyline, and now they're using the Rock on the board in storyline. CM Punk is on one after that, and these fans think that Triple H is going to wrestle. Just stop. Yeah, Triple H hate
Oh my
wrestling.
God, Punk Compressor was awesome. He was so fired up, guys, afterwards, because he's like, "There's an easy situation, a solution for this. They're men. Punch each other in the face. Just fight. Just fight."
Yeah, he was going off. He was fired up. He thought it was real.
He said, "If someone smacked me in the face, I'm fighting with one arm. Just fight." It's like, all right.
Corey David, $5, appreciate it as always. Ibu, since WWE lost out on a big free agent, is this a good sign they'll re-sign their own talent? Seth, Drew, Becky, Finn, Sammy, Kevin, and AJ. That's a lot of list, brother.
I don't know. I don't know if it's a sign pointing towards that, but I know that should be their priority. Is their established names that they already feature heavily on their TV should be locked up.
Mm-hmm. Darren KG, $5, appreciate it as always. Can't expect Rock and Roman versus Cody and Seth night 1, Seth versus Drew, and Cody versus Roman with Rock night 2, and Rock Mike Tyson's Roman to set up Mania 41.
Do you guys not think there's like an outside chance that Seth gets kind of screwed out of his belt before Mania? The only reason I ask is if they're doing the tag, do you want Seth working twice? Isn't his knee like fucked up? Or am I imagining that? Isn't he hurt?
His knee is fucked. I mean, well, he claims, Joe, that he'll be 100% in a couple weeks. That's what he's saying.
Okay.
He says that he's going to be above 100% by Mania. So I'll take his word for it. I have torn my meniscus before. Not fun for about 3 weeks. And you start feeling all right, but I will say, you do too much too soon, and that shit starts to ache again. So we'll see what happens there. But I'll tell you what, and this is going to be a dork reference, I guess, that I don't know how many people on screen will get, but the audience will probably get. But Goku beat the fucking shit out of Nappa, and Nappa was at the feet of Vegeta, and he put his hands out and was like, "Oh, Vegeta, help me out!" And Vegeta's like, "All right, bet." Picked him up, threw him, and killed him. And so if The Rock does that to Roman after losing to Cody, that could work too. Where it's just kind of like, you're a fucking failure. Don't fucking hug me. Don't touch me, you piece of shit. Rock bottoms Roman Reigns. You could do it like
let down the family,
Yeah, you let down the fucking.
Let this American family come in, and just ruin his Samoan dynasty, But yeah, Hush 199, appreciate it. When Rock shoots on HBK in front of Triple H,
that would be like peak unhinged, Joe. Is it if they get current cooked Shawn Michaels, who isn't a performer, to do a segment for all of this?
He would get lit up, bro. They should do. I'd watch that. I'd tune in for that shit.
He'd be popping like himself, like
cross-eyed old like hunchback Shawn Michaels.
You got me.
Let me tell you something, Dwayne. Look, Dwayne, I always liked you. I rip you sometimes. I rip you, but look, I just and Rock is just like, you've always been a piece of shit.
Fucking Shawn Michaels, man.
Shawn could take a bump. He could take a bump. So, oh my God, actually, no, the Godline needs to beat the shit out of him. He needs to get a spear in the rock bottom.
Like when Batista beat the shit out of Ric Flair in the build-up to the
Oh
Triple
my
H
God.
match.
Do you remember when he like dragged him along the floor? Like he had his
Yeah.
like collar. Oh
And
my
then
goodness.
the camera went, oh,
Oh, good shit. Cheers of $5. Appreciate you. Paul Heyman was looking at Braun Breaker like, you're going to be the new Paul Heyman guy. Hey man, possibly so. Shout out Kimberly, $5. Big business fighter, y'all. Bianca better. Also, please acknowledge your tribal chief today. Been speaking about him quite a lot. Bianca's great, man. And like even at that WrestleMania kickoff show, just like the way she carries herself and stuff. She's just great. I love Bianca. I hope she does have something big planned for WrestleMania. You would expect.
There's a reason Montez Ford tweets God is good every day.
Absolutely. Watch $4.99. Seeing the Elimination Chamber qualifiers, WWE lacks real main event heels. Outside of Drew, there's not much weekly heels. Bloodline B team is a joke and not much else. The Bloodline B team on like the week to week thing is kind of is jarring when like Roman isn't there. You just get like a Paul Heyman backstage promo and you get Jimmy will wrestle a very normal match. Like there's not really anything too enticing or big time feel about it. So I do agree there.
Yeah.
Obviously, Judgment Day on Raw. I do like what they're doing now. Of course, I can understand how it can get tired. Imperium are great. I like kind of their role with Judgment Day to kind of flip. Like they're the number one heel group on Raw for a bit, and Judgment Day is kind of more, upper mid card sort of thing for a little while, and kind of reevaluate.
It feels like the LA Knight thing's going to turn AJ, right? It feels like, I assume, like he keeps doing.
Yeah, AJ's a weird one because he's like he's like in the middle.
Yeah, he
at the
sort
minute.
of
It's
is,
weird.
but he
Lone
sometimes
Wolf
wrestles
brother.
babyface. Yeah, it's weird. I assume he'll be full heel after the LA Knight stuff. I don't know though.
They could absolutely do that.
Mm-hmm.
Could absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting though because people do love like LA Knight. I think it's like because he's kind of course, he was like on fire a few months ago and just kind of, I guess, kind of naturally he's kind of faded into the background, especially with like when we're talking about like Cody finishing his story, Roman Reigns has been Roman Reigns, Dwayne the Rock Johnson is now in the picture as well. CM Punk came back. It's all these different factors. So we kind of did naturally kind of like slip down a bit. He's still a big deal, of course, and people still react to him and everything like that. But of course, it's not the same. I'm not sure if I don't know if I would want to turn him heel.
Turn who?
Who? LA Knight?
Yeah, like you want to.
No, you shouldn't turn LA
it.
Knight. No.
Well, I've seen a few people talk about that. I know we was talking about AJ turning, but AJ should definitely turn heel, I think, to be honest, because of the problem mentioned in the super chat. LA Knight, I think they just kind of need to reinvigorate his spark again, sort of thing, which I think is pretty easily done because he's a good speaker.
I honestly, I don't watch weekly, but like the reaction he got on Friday, and the fact that I think he's going to get the US belt, I actually think he's fine. It's leveled off in push, but that was inevitable because how many guys are on the roster. Like, I think he's honestly actually stuck at that level better than people predicted he would a while back. So I think
that's what I mean. It's like like some people, like I said, some people have been kind of like really critical about like the way that he's kind of slipped down a bit, but he's kind of just been the natural. It's been like with all the factors I just mentioned, I see Punk, Dwayne, Roman, Cody, all these different things going on. So someone said in the chat, turning that Knight heel now would be like sabotage, which
it'll be throwing money away. Like he's so easy to merchandise and such. It's just like he's a babyface,
Yeah, man. Will Chisholm, $5. Appreciate it. It's crazy. It's crazy how fans fell back in love with Bayley so quick. Happy for her. I was talking to this will pop it. I was talking to Oracle about this on Friday, and I was just like, as if Pam's like she's a big but like people have always loved her, but she's a big deal again, So obviously she's always been like a big name, No, she's never kind of slipped off.
Yeah.
She's never slipped down that far. She's always been a big name that people have appreciated and liked, and she'll always be like, she's going into the Hall of Fame. She's been at that stage for a while now. But like I said, she feels like a big deal. Segments feel like a big deal and stuff now. Like she's just a big deal again. It's just like as if
Well,
she's doing it. Good for her.
when the fans have like been with a character, invested in the character for years, it only takes like one interesting angle, and it's like boom, they're back in. It's you can heat someone up very quickly when there's a kind of established investment there. I think that's the case with Bayley. So this is very cool. I'm happy for her too.
I'm not surprised that they it's like this because the fans have never actually turned on Bayley. They were just kind of
No, they haven't.
with her. They were going along with her, and they know that like the story was leaning towards her being the babyface, and they were absolutely ready to be on her side.
Mm-hmm. Woo Wings, $5. Thanks for buying Woo Wings, Ibu. Didn't need to.
Good God, man!
It's getting too graphic, people. Didn't need to do those things to them, though. Anyways, if Michael Ruckers had Okada and Ospreay's themes, how do they sound like?
Oh man, I wish I had prep time to think of a shitty.
You can do an Okada one. The Rainmaker gives you some material, I think.
It's just like coin dropping. You should, let's make it rain, make it rain, make it rain in the name. It breaks down into a rap, and it's just like
there you go.
It's the Rainmaker, Okada, Bomada. I done them in the more dollars. We cooking dollars in these fucking.
Anyway. Zade 94.99, appreciate you. There's a lot of haters and deniers of Cody online. What this dude has done in the last 2 years is astonishing. He got fans to turn on Rock. Truly undeniable. He's a beast, man. I've said this before on podcasts. Like as far as like the archetype for like a WWE top guy, I don't think there's really anyone in the business that kind of fits them all better, to be honest. There's like a top babyface for WWE. And I'm not saying he's the best babyface in the business. I'm just saying for the position.
He is the best babyface.
Do you know what I mean? Like, for them, he's he's perfect for that role in 2024,
Because he's like because I think the hesitation is it's not that he's like this super relatable babyface, but he is the closest thing to like a superhero, which is what they want for their top babyface, right? And kids want. And so, it is. The comment is true, man. Like, it is crazy, really. When he made the jump to WWE, a lot of people were quick to doubt him, and he's actually doing this thing, getting people to boo The Rock, so I can't argue with it.
I remember watching his AEW promos, when the fans were starting to turn him before he fully started to lose his mind and just fucking randomness. But he was when the fans were starting to kind of turn on him a bit, and he was cutting like one of his, presidential candidate speeches, and I was just like, this guy is in the wrong promotion, man. Even though, which is hilarious because
I did say this. I remember
he was the face of the revolution. He was the face of like AEW becoming AEW. He was the guy at the press conferences. He was the one doing all the media rounds, and again, the face of the revolution. So even at that time, it was like I thought it was quite obvious, But obviously now look where we are. It seems. It seems like he was in the wrong promotion, but he had to go on the journey to find himself where he is now, and that's what the story is. Which hopefully he's going to finish at WrestleMania 40.
Monty, I don't know if you remember, but in our early conversations, that was one of the things you did say. Like this would have been like around the time, like literally like a little bit before the Sammy Guevara ladder match. I remember in a space or something, you were just like, Cody Rhodes is a WWE superstar. And I was like, yeah, he is, like, realistically. So
he is, man. He is. Jumanji Hunter $2, appreciate. DIY with Triple H in the corner versus The Rock.
Oh my
god. That's fan 84.
You know the things Dwayne would come up with to say to Johnny Gargano.
Oh, I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Joe would watch live.
I'd do the Raw review show for that shit. I'd make a Smackdown review for that, actually. We'd go live after the show. It'd be incredible.
Triple H wants to say Johnny Gargano at the People's Champion. Tune into my Twitch stream.
That's fucking good, bro. That was really good.
Shut your mouth with your Twitch stream. The Rock is going to take you. He's going to take Tommaso Ciampa, turn you sideways. He'll do the whole 9 yards and cut the fucking promo.
Match 84, 199. Feds investigating WWE. Fatu avoid the heat. Hey, man. GN, £2. Appreciate it. Is Punk wrestling or just screwing Drew at Mania? No, I think he's doing either. I think that was kind of set up what he's doing when he's coming back. I don't think
Punk should hit somebody in the balls. I don't know who he's just balls.
Stephen Casson, 199. Appreciate it. Where the hell is Sheamus?
His shoulder injuries are no joke, but he's very close to being cleared.
He might even be cleared. I might have seen or heard that. This might be the whole Julia Hart fucking situation again, where I've imagined something.
He wants Gunther at Mania, hilariously.
Still no definitive answer on Julia Hart either, which leads me to believe that I may be I might have been right on that one, you know. But anyway, where the hell is Sheamus? I'm not sure, but he ain't on TV, but he should be soon. Darren Walker, £2. Appreciate you. Okada in his final New Japan match versus Riddle is strange. Yeah, that 10-man tag that the book, which does include Riddle, as Darren Walker's pointed out, is strange. Yeah, he is strange, you know. But you know, Mr. Hank 199, appreciate you. Any idea who the Japanese vignettes on NXT are for? Are they actually Japanese? Like,
Yes,
because.
yes.
No, but are they actually showing anything Japanese, or are they just using that saying? Do you know what I'm trying to get at?
It's a Japanese.
It's not like it's not like it's coming up in Japanese writing, and they're not actually doing anything Japanese that I'm catching. I don't think, other than that, you know, what is it? There's a man has three faces: one that he shows his friends, one he shows his family, and one that he keeps to himself, or something like that. I know that is like a Japanese law, whatever you want to call it, you know what I mean? But like, is it? Do we know it's actually Japanese, or are people just being like, "Oh, it's definitely Japanese"? People are guessing Julia, Okada.
We don't know anything. It's not Okada, which I said from the beginning.
Obviously, we know that now.
Obviously, right? Yeah,
we knew that anyway. But,
I'll tell you what. My educated guess was Katsuko Nakajima, for multiple reasons, including the fact that Nakajima literally said in a All Japan promo, "Perhaps I will visit NXT and repay the favor," or something. And then you combine that with, you know, none of the top tier outlets have followed up on this, but Body Slam and I believe another kind of mid-level outlet essentially said that Nakajima was expected to do something with NXT, which is hilarious. So I guess we'll monitor that, and maybe I guess I could ask around.
He genuinely might be the least NXT wrestler in the world, right?
Correct, but consider this, Joe.
It's just the Ilya match, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say.
I think,
all it
to be
is.
clear, to me that makes it appealing because there's a novelty to it as a one-off. It's fascinating to think about. It's so weird.
Trick Williams. You know?
No, it has to be Ilya. It has to be Drake.
Let's keep Trick away from Nakajima, bro. We're gonna take it slow.
Listen, Trick rises against these crazy physical dudes, you know.
Trick's got Mania main events ahead of him, bro. We don't even get knocked Spark out on NXT TV.
Fractured shit, you know.
Anyway, Glick Foley 199, appreciate it as always. Rock guy imitate Cody's lisp or his wife.
Oh my god,
he probably will.
He already did at McAfee. He was like, "Finish the story. Finish the story." He did that.
Will Chisholm, $5, appreciate it as always. The way the Rock looked at Punk when he said Cody should punch him in the mouth made me laugh so hard.
That was money.
Punk was on
that was money.
Punk was on the roll, man. Hush, $4.99, appreciate it. Y'all think Rock has a grasp of today's climate? His heel work was always looked fond of, but you can see how much outrage it could have in the present day. Oh, I don't think he's going to say anything like...
That's a good question, though. I get it.
Yeah, it's a fair question, but he's been so... Because he's had such a magnifying glass on him in the public eye over the past 10 years or so, it's like, you know, the Rock
he's
media
probably,
train.
yeah.
No, bro, he was calling him a robot last week. You know what I mean? Like, this is who Dwayne Johnson is now. You know, it's not. He's definitely a different guy.
Yeah,
and definitely a lot more aware of what he could get away with. Even back then, he was more aware of what he could get away with. It's just that it was a different time and he could get away with those things. It doesn't make it right, but he was at least aware of what he could and couldn't get away with back then, you know.
Now, with that said, Monty, in that writer's room, there's going to be a moment where Brian Gewirtz is sitting with Rock and he's just like, so how do we circle this around and how do we call Paul Levesque gay? You know, and they'll try to craft that joke.
Yeah, they could do something embarrassing. There could be some embarrassing pictures that we'll never hear about. But,
all I can think of that is like Triple H's sell of that and like
Oh,
how enraged he would be,
no,
but he'd have to pretend he wasn't. Oh,
Joe,
good
as
God.
somebody that is a huge fan of 2000 WWF, Hunter was never good at selling Rock, like kind of just bitching him like that. Like
Hated it.
he,
Yeah,
he would
hated it.
he would stand in that ring, right? And Rock would be like, oh, he'll just say something like, oh, like you got your pants down and Road Dogg's doing A, B, and C, and Triple H just stand there like, oh fuck me. He's just like fuck.
But yeah. Bro, 199, appreciate it as always. Need Chuck able to finish the real story. The OC belt. Hey man. We'll see what happens with Gauntlet, man. It's very interesting to see how it plays out because I think there's a few potential challenges. Maybe they do a multi-man, which I hope they do a singles, but I do think that is on the table. So, yeah, Jumanji Hunter $2, appreciate it. Kevin Owens is Triple H's guy versus The Rock.
Oh my god.
Oh my! Hold up. There's something to that, bro. Let's think that through a little bit here. That's
Kevin
the
Owens, you
spin.
fat honey bun piece of shit. And Kevin Owens getting back at him.
Do you remember the law with Kevin and Rock? Do you remember the thing where because people kept like saying about Rock kept hearing about him on social media, like kill it, and he famously asked Brian Myers, who's this kill guy? And so Myers gave him like a bunch of like Kevin Owens DVDs, Kevin Steen DVDs. The law, the idea that could eventually lead to them having a professional wrestling match is the funniest possible outcome to this story. That's the correct route. That's the only thing that could top that is a Nick Aldis match, which is the actual funniest, obviously. But
KO had a great match at Austin, and he could have a better one with Dwayne.
They could, that actually would be.
I don't know if it'd be better than. I don't know if it'd be better.
It could be.
Match. It could.
Okay, put it this way though: if you could pick anyone to have a great match with Rock at this point, Kevin's up there, right on that list. Like, he can adapt his game. He could bump quite crazy. He could do stunts. He could do brawl. I don't know, man. It's interesting.
Right, yeah, Kevin Owens is fucking tremendous. You know what I mean?
Good wrestler.
So, he's pretty good. Yeah. Anyway, last super chat for now. Hamza Mohammed, £4.99. Appreciate it. Who do you think Randy's going to work at Mania? Interesting. Maybe he can be on Cody's side, wrestling or not, but eventually turns on him for Cody's first title feud. I don't know, man. That's one that I'm really stumped with. It's like I said, even with Gunther, you can throw a few names out there, maybe do a multi-man. Seth, obviously, is in a really interesting spot. Obviously, Roman, we know what he's doing. Cody, we know what he's doing. But yeah, man.
I couldn't figure it out. When Late Night Grin did our Mania prediction for the card, I could not figure out what Randy's doing. I had no answer.
It's tough, isn't it? It's tough. Yeah. But yeah, man. Well, hopefully we'll get some clarity on that over the next few weeks because it's not WrestleMania without Randy Orton if he's fit and available, Joe Hall. But you know,
maybe Logan Paul takes the RKO and they do something there. I don't know.
Maybe.
No clue.
I'll tell you what, Joe. Hilariously,
make it quick.
Cody and Randy versus the Godline would be funnier and more interesting. Hilariously, even though the work.
Oh yeah, it'd be tremendous. But AEW, Rampage. What did we have notable from that Rampage? Mystico wrestled Matt Sydal. Chris Statlander and Will Nightingale versus the Outcast in the main event. Ruby Soho ditched Saraya. The Young Bucks cut a promo. They're going on a title charge. They beat some jobbers and they said they were going to beat more serious tag teams to climb the rankings, and they're going to get the tag title shot Revolution versus Sting and Darby. And of course, this is all coming off the heat that they just got on Sting and Darby after beating them down on Dynamite on Wednesday, which obviously for the live crowd was like minutes before, you know. So yeah, still on track for the Young Bucks being very, very good. We pointed out a couple of weeks ago that this could go in a very worrying direction, but it hasn't thus far, and I'm really enjoying what they're doing, man. So shout out to Young Bucks and then AEW Collision.
The masters of the EVP trigger.
Yes. the new entrance, the new entrance video and song, and yeah, man. He's popping me at the moment. He hasn't spiraled into wrestle crap or anything like that, which is always dangerous with these kind of gimmicks, you know. All right, AEW Collision, Blackpool Combat Club versus Esfinge and Star Jr. Nice match, nothing crazy, I didn't think. Daniel Garcia versus Shane Taylor. Daniel Garcia, he's He's just a tremendous TV wrestler, isn't he? You know,
He really is. Yeah,
he really is
very,
a good
very,
TV
very
wrestler.
thoughtful wrestler. Like he's again, it's everybody's mentioned this, so he's not gonna have like great matches, and this wasn't a great. This was honestly just like a decent match, but everything he did made sense. He never undercut Shane as the big man in there, right? He had that great sell on the
He's
knockout
really
punch.
good at that.
Yeah,
Like getting
yeah.
some smart offense out, like you said, like is a thing because
That's a problem in
thinking's
wrestling,
man
right?
wrestler, you know.
Thinking man's
Like
right. Yeah.
guys will get in there with bigger dudes and they'll just completely undercut the fact that they're supposed to have a size disadvantage. They'll just wrestle them like they're anyone else.
Yeah, then in this
Garcia,
day and age as well, bro, like the big guys sometimes goes with that too much, and you get these
Oh, yeah.
7 foot guys who don't act like the 7 foot, like,
No,
and
they
it
just-
drives me mad. Like,
They start trying to shoot 3-pointers and dribbling around and taking jump
Yeah.
shots. Get in the fucking post. Like, what are you doing? And with Garcia, the reason why me and Joe love his approach so much is that his matches aren't the same on a match by match basis. And like a Bret Hart, who I compared him to, he implements in canon, in kayfabe strategies that vary on opponent to opponent. The approach to facing Shane Taylor should not be the same approach to facing a different wrestler. And so by varying that and showing that he's taking a different tactical approach, and you actually pay attention, the art and the appeal of these matches is in the details rather than like, how high it peaks, so to speak. So yeah, like Joe said, this is just like a fine little cool TV match. It's a nice way to get DG another win. It's a good thing that he's on Collision stacking these wins and getting momentum. And again, he's just one of those guys that, for his age, it's rare to see a guy that just has this much variety on a match-to-match basis.
he's great, man. Of course, Adam Copeland had a promo later on, and everyone expects him to be challenging Christian Cage soon. So that was kind of the root of his promo, but he's interrupted by Daniel Garcia, and he's been eyeing up Christian Cage's TNT title as well recently, and he basically made that point obvious to Adam Copeland, and they agreed to have a number 1 contenders match on Wednesday. And yeah, man, it should be a really good one. Garcia, Adam Copeland. Garcia definitely fits the mold of someone that Copeland wants to be working with in AEW, you know? So,
yeah. It feels like they're going to mesh too, doesn't it? Like just from the outside
Yeah.
looking in, on paper, it looks like they're going to mesh. This is a good moment to know one of the cooler things on this show, which is that Copeland led with the Bucks comment, right? And Eddie did the same, I think, earlier in the show, maybe earlier, later, I don't know. But that was a cool thing, right? We've talked about that before with AEW. I think it was worth noting. Like, we've talked about how things live in a vacuum and there's not enough kind of overarching. On this show, 2 of the top baby faces were like, fuck the Young Bucks. That was bullshit.
yeah.
More of that, man. That really added to Collision's kind of old school vibe. That was cool.
Yeah, because it's a universe. You don't just exist in the one, in the tunnel you're in with the match you're having. So yeah.
And Brian Cage defeated the Outrunners in a 2-on-1 handicap match. Brody King defeated Mark Briscoe. Very nice match. Love Mark Briscoe, Brody King, tremendous as always. And just good stuff, fellas. Good stuff.
Yeah. Great post match too, right? With the big angle with Jules and
Julius stabbed him with a spike. It's quite vulgar.
Funniest thing
the visual was crazy, bro. It was a sick visual afterwards.
The funny thing about this, Monty, where there were people going like, "What the hell happened to this business?" and and people implying like this isn't like old school and like this is like what happened to wrestling. And I'm like, it doesn't get more old school than a heel stabbing a fucking baby face in the face. Like that is what heel managers jabbing baby faces and getting color is as old school as it gets. So,
like genuinely, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, or if anyone like, why is it that Collision does seem to have a more, I don't want to say retro, but there are certain like TV wrestling kind of tropes and such from yesteryear that feel far more present on Collision than they do on Dynamite. Is that genuinely just a?
I think it's a talent order. I just think it's a talent.
But I do have an answer to this. It's people. Okay. So part of it is personnel in the sense that like talent will absolutely the talent featured are going to put their touches into things, right? Like Monty just said. However, they don't have the exact same crew of like listen, AEW has a crew of producers and stuff, right? Yeah. They've now done this thing where like people will kind of specialize in certain angles and storylines on certain shows and just kind of fill in with little things on the other show and vice versa. Do you get what I'm saying? Where it'll be, I don't know exactly who's what, but like hypothetically, right? Like a Jimmy Jacobs would be like, I'm doing 70% of my shit on Dynamite and 30% on Collision and vice versa. And so whatever combination of people that they've come up with when it comes to allotting and delegating the duties has led to the distinct vibes and flavors of these shows. And I like that. I like that these things feel different.
It's important.
Yeah.
Really important.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, man. Deanna Purrazzo and Toni Storm both won a pair of matches against Kiera Hogan and Queen Aminata, both pretty decent matches.
I thought the one got really, really good at the very end of it.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Good stuff. Then we had Orange Cassidy successfully defending his AEW International title versus Big Tom Ish. Good stuff as expected. Kind of, yeah, as expected. Joe Hulbert, what did you think?
Yeah, I liked it quite a bit. I thought it took them like a little bit to figure out the best way to have their kind of quite contrasting approaches mesh. I thought it took them a little bit, but by the end, that thing was like rocking, and it was probably the most compelling Orange title defense in like a bit, right? It's been a while, I think it's fair to say. So always great to see Ishii wrestle. Like, he's just so consistent. My God, incredible wrestler.
Yeah, like you said, the contrast was definitely a thing, especially early on, because with Orange Cassidy, you can't just immediately start at a certain level that you kind of have to be at to wrestle Tom Ish. But as Orange Cassidy's so good at kind of like pacing himself in that regard of leveling up his intensity as the match goes on. So it's like he did eventually get there, as you mentioned. So it's good stuff, he built.
Yeah, I struggled initially to feel anything for this or get engaged because for better or for worse, as great as Orange Cassidy is, we've just seen so much of him in his match so consistently. And between that and like the WrestleMania weekend, the pacing of this, like it felt like one of those kind of like, whoa, this guy versus this guy on this indie show and 3.25 type of deals, right? And it felt like that for like halfway through. And so I just kind of struggled to like engage with this. But at the end of the day, it's Tomohiro Ishii and Orange Cassidy, and they're really, really talented wrestlers. So they ratcheted up and they kind of got into it, and they really picked the pace up here. And by the time we got to the close encounters and near falls and stuff, they worked so hard by the end that like you did get into it, and so this turned into a good main event.
I was trying some super chats before we go. We'll touch on New Japan. We'll touch on the main stuff from New Japan. We'll try to do a little bit of news before we finish up as well, so we'll get those super chats in. Jumanji Hunter, $2, appreciate it. Screw it, Gunther beats down Rocky. Caden Lee, 199, appreciate it. Excited to be there for Cope and Garcia. You're everywhere, Caden, man. You're everywhere.
It kind of scares me.
Very scary. Corey Davey, $2, appreciate it. Does Charlie Dempsey need to leave WWE to succeed?
Yes.
I don't know, succeed is a broad term, right? But his ceiling is definitely higher elsewhere, yeah.
Specifically like Japan.
Yeah.
Peanut butter Rocky time. $5, appreciate it. Collision is just a show for fathers and daughters. Brody and Julia, Christian, and that fug that had to be escorted away by security. Hashtag girl dad graps. What a super chat. Alright, New Japan, new beginning over the weekend. And like I said, we'll kind of touch on like the main things that we want to touch on. Of course, we've got Don't Go Live tomorrow. I'm sure they'll get into it a lot more than we will. But Okada, man, his last singles match in New Japan. We know it's his last singles match in New Japan now because his last two matches on his not even on his New Japan contract are there. The extra days that he's doing before going reportedly to AEW, which we'll get into as well. But yeah, man, his last singles match, Hiroshi Tanahashi, of course, that makes all the sense. And yeah, man, it was better than the match that they had in the US. When was it? Like a month ago, a couple of months ago or something. But yeah, obviously Hiroshi Tanahashi is definitely not in his physical peak anymore. But I thought he looked pretty good. Okada looked pretty good in this, and he was pretty good.
Wait, you're talking about the match you're referring to is from last year's Battle in the Valley. If you're talking about Okada and Tanahashi,
yeah, a couple months ago.
Yeah. No, that was 2023. It was 2023. Nevertheless, it was a good. I'm sorry, I'm having lagging. Yeah, no, it was a nice match. It was very classy. The presentation was cool, and like the fans were just happy to see both guys. Tanahashi, to me, I know I said this to you guys off air. Tanahashi to me looks kind of more dialed in than like he should have any right to be given his recent performances. And I thought he was the more engaging half of this, personally speaking. But I don't know. I just thought he did the high five over the outside, guys.
You're right. It's all I said when we was up here. You're onto something like, yeah, Tanahashi did look good. He was dialed in. He looked better than he had it late, and he looked like he did put in a real genuine effort to give Okada like a good last singles match, But Okada also looked very good in this, And as I was saying to Joe off there as well, it's like Okada. The difference between the match that they had in San Jose with Okada and how he performed here was night and day. I thought. But yeah, I thought it was a good match. Doesn't matter who was the better half; they both look good. So
Yeah,
it's not like Tana carried him or Okada carried him. So
that is fair. That people sometimes get a little too in the weeds now. Like when a match is great, they'll be like, "Well, this guy was better than that guy."
People, yourself, just now.
The masses.
the marks.
I really like this. Like, I also appreciate that they wrestled it in a way that was honest about where Tanahashi's at. And
yeah,
Okada was kind of a dick, and it was like very clear that Tanahashi was outmatched, but he was brave and defiant, and he had some the inside cradle at the end. Wow, it was a great false finish. So yeah, I really, really like this, and it was very touching. The post match was like, that was a moment, man. That's a big piece of wrestling history there. Just that, came to a conclusion. That series was transformative for pro wrestling. So it was very, very moving, I thought.
They did not, to your point about it being honest about where everyone's at and stuff with how they worked this. They did not do the typical New Japan extended back and forth closing stretch,
right?
With like big kickouts. They just didn't do it. They just ended.
Yeah, man. It was a really nice match, man. It's as good as you can realistically expect an Okada Tanahashi match to be in February 2024, I think. So yeah, man. And like you said, the post match was touching, man. Of course. What a run! I still kind of can't believe he's actually leaving. But
it's weird.
He is. But anyway, later on in the show, we had Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Bryan Danielson in just over 30 minutes. That for me absolutely flew by. Like it was quite crazy. It was like I'm watching it, then all of a sudden it's it feels like I'm like 6 minutes in. It's like you're getting a 20-minute call. Oh, Jesus. Some good wrestling going on. Now, this match was tremendous, of course. A technical wrestling masterclass. Not quite as the technical wrestling masterclass as the Wrestle Dream match was, but this one it had more kind of like grit to it. There was a lot more striking and things like that in it. A lot more aggressive. There was a lot more like ego in this one as well. So I really enjoyed this one. I think I'd say the Wrestle Dream match is a hair better. I love both. What did you make of it, Joe?
Oh, go ahead, Joe.
Well, you honestly took the words out of my mouth until when you picked which one you slightly preferred, because the reasons you laid out were the why I slightly preferred this one. I thought it was like more complete and personal, and it felt more like spiteful because of the ego part you mentioned, right? And Brian was like actively messing with that part of Zach's mind. They had the great stuff with the rope break, and you still had some great those flowing sequences they have, but it was less about that, and it was more about kind of the stylistic differences between them. Brian got like frustrated at one point and just started whacking him with strikes because that's Brian's like kind of easy way out. When he wrestles Zach, right, he could just clobber him with kicks and punches. So yeah, this was a masterpiece. I think it's the best match of the year so far. And I know that sounds dumb, we're in February, but let's be real, there's been some great pro wrestling matches. Like that's saying. And I think it's my one seed right now. I thought this was spectacular. I loved it.
Yeah, man. I think the Wrestle Dream match for me, in terms of like a technical wrestling masterclass, it was more awe-inspiring in that sense,
yes,
like mat work-wise, and I think that's why I've got it slightly ahead.
Oh, they're both incredible.
Yeah, they're both tremendous. But Ibi, what did you make of the New Beginning match?
I thought it was fantastic, and I have a kind of stupid reason why I prefer it over the Wrestle Dream match, and it's frankly because I just liked how it looked aesthetically. Specifically, the Wrestle Dream one was the AEW show that debuted the LED barricades and LED aprons, and Danielson also was wearing the Seattle Seahawks green and blue, which I think looks fucking disgusting. And so here you're in that New Japan lion blue, some real man adult barricades on the side. You know what I mean? It looks more like professional wrestling, which is fitting for a match that was as professional wrestling as it gets. This felt like an ode to like the 1970s technical classics of guys like Jumbo Tsuruta and fucking like Nick Bockwinkel or something, or like Inoki.
It's tremendous.
Inoki, Billy Robinson, shit like that. So what I loved about this was that it just felt so strategic. I feel like I was watching a chess match, like a really complicated and complex chess match taking place. And just seeing them kind of figure each other out and ultimately not be able to figure each other out. Neither guy has submitted each other now in 2 matches. And so just fucking breathless. When I really think about this, the closing stretch, it's just like high-end counters. They're not doing like big finishing moves and kicking out of them. They're just doing crazy counters until it ends. And it kind of peaks high and then just ends. And you're like, oh my God. And like you said, Monty, 30 minutes passed. You had no clue it was 30 minutes. And it felt like a near 5-star match, if not a 5-star match. And that there's still more to do. So, I thought this was incredible. It was an incredible match. And I'd like to see the third one happen in Mexico. It'll probably happen at like Wembley Stadium.
And then in the main event, we had the Steel Cage 10-man tag team match. Bullet Club War Dogs versus the United Empire. Will Ospreay's last match for New Japan for at least a while, because as we already know, he's heading to AEW. So this was him finishing up with New Japan. And it was quite the spectacle. It did go an hour and 5 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and they went for it. They absolutely went for it. They did pretty much it felt like they did everything they possibly could have thought of. Like, it was one of those matches. Of course, again, it went an hour and 5 minutes. So, there's going to be many things that we could pick apart, but we don't really have the time to here. I did think overall it was a pretty good match, but again, there was just certain flaws that I think you can't really. It was an hour and 5 minutes, and a lot of it was, you didn't really help me here, Joe.
No, it's you. The first thing you said was the best. It was a spectacle, right? And it's like, I still really enjoyed it. But what I would say is, if it ended at 30, probably 40 minutes, I would have like been very quick to say it was like a War Games classic.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end, I didn't know if I could actually list it as a professional wrestling match or anything. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. And I think there is something to be said for that. I think it's admirable. And I'm certainly not going to begrudge Will Ospreay in his final match throwing every single idea he could possibly have to test. I had a great time watching it, especially live. I don't know if I'm ever going to rewatch it because it's an hour and 4 minutes long.
Yeah, man, that's the thing. Don't have a lot of rewatch value, does it?
It's one of one though, and that's the thing. Like, it had its issues, and it definitely was excessive and too long. But my goodness, they swung big. Whatever. They certainly swung for the fences. I really enjoyed it.
Ibu, quick takes on the cage match.
I really liked and admired this until I didn't, and it's a really, really, really long match that had about 9 peaks and 9 finishes that we could have gone to. And after minute 50, when everybody just kind of jumped David Finlay, and that wasn't the finish, it was kind of like, all right, man. Again, I was kind of sad, to be honest. I get sad when like great wrestling matches get like ruin themselves, like when they can't be saved from themselves, and that's what this made me. It made me kind of sad that it was happening. But look, man, they fought their hearts out and they worked really hard and they did a lot of crazy stuff. And it was Ospreay's send off. So it's a hard match to rate in that respect. I don't know. Ospreay had a classy send off. He fought his heart out. And, Bullet Club won the match.
Yeah, Ospreay got his send off. He was also very emotional. There was a lot of tears. New Japan, new beginning. A lot of real man tears, But yeah, of course, 2 of the most important stars are on the way out of the promotion. Okada reportedly heading to AEW, expected to sign soon. Like we just mentioned, that he does singles match over the weekend. Last match is going to be a 10-man. And kind of as expected, on his way to AEW. I know it wasn't set in stone or anything, and the recent reports up until this past weekend, he hasn't made his decision yet, etc., etc. Whereas now, according to Fightful Select, he is expected to be heading to AEW, expected to sign soon. So, yeah, man, I think there was something about him potentially making his debut in not the first half of March as well, just like we expect Mercedes to as well. So a very big March ahead for AEW. I guess we got a couple minutes. What bullet points do I have from the news that I want to get into? Well, not get into, but just mention. Scott D'Amore, of course, he was fired by TNA. We haven't really had a chance to get into that. We don't really have a chance to get into it now, but just some bullet points. Reasons in reports why he was fired range from the brand was too centric with Scott D'Amore. And Anthem want the brand to be more centric with them and not Scott D'Amore. Another reason was there was some tension from Scott D'Amore always pushing for a larger budget. Vast majority of the talent don't seem to be very happy about it, as a lot of them did like Scott. Scott knew about 10 days before he was fired that he was going to get fired, and apparently in recent weeks, at some point, he was financially backed by a letter, and he tried to buy TNA. Scott D'Amore tried to buy TNA.
Remember
which
a month
I respect,
ago
you know?
when we reviewed Hard to Kill and we were like, it's just Impact called TNA. TNA's not actually back. I'm sorry to report that for better or almost certainly worse, this is violently TNA, this news story. It feels like they're back, bro. I think as soon as those initials came back, it changed again. It happened. It's happening again. It's like a curse. So, yeah, I feel bad for the talent because it seemed like they all loved working for him, and it could get kind of spooky here because it sounds like such a corporate thing. I don't think it's going to go well.
Even the statement was just like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess got about 60 seconds, bit of stardom fallout. Rossi gave his Bushi Road notice to Rossi Ogawa, of course, was fired by Bushi Road Stardom, but he did give his notice to Bushi Road in November. They just fired him before it was planned for him to actually leave. Rossi will be the financial backer of his new promotion that he's starting. AEW believe that Rossi's departure will make working together easier. Tony Khan's tweets apparently upset a lot of people, which is not good, really, is it? You don't want to be upsetting people in the business, over some silly tweets, But anyway, apparently Bushi Rhodes said to anyone, if they want to leave, they have to be notified by February 9th, which was Friday. Part of the reason why Kyrie left and Julia is leaving is because Rossi's no longer going to be there. Tam Nakano said in an interview that she is saying Mayu Iwatani, she did some quite... a lot of fans were quite concerned about Iwatani over the weekend. She did an interview, I think earlier today or yesterday. She's very upset about all this. She has some thinking to do about what she's going to do, what she's going to be doing. So, obviously Mayu was given her debut, but Rossi, she's been with Stardom from the start. These are all things that she mentioned in the interview. So, a lot of weird fallout going on with these firings. And Japan in general as well. So, and Tony Khan did a lot of media rounds over the weekend. Basically confirmed that CMLL are going to be on Forbidden Door 3.
Yeah,
he thinks that AEW is the best AEW has ever been. He gave a little bit of an update on Kenny Omega. He's doing better. Of course, he's not healthy or cleared or anything like that, but he's doing better. So it was good to hear that. And what else we got? I've got a bunch of other notes as well, but none of them are like breaking news. So we'll, we're in overtime here now, so we're going to wrap it up. Mazfan 84, 199, appreciate it. Listen, Roddy versus Ishii would be peak 40 plus grabs. Amen. All right, tomorrow, WWE Raw review hosted by Rob and Ibu of WrestlePurists. And I'll let Ibu announce all any and all changes if any are needed for that. But anyway, we're working on something for the Tuesday Raw review, people.
Yes.
Wow. Quick announcement, which is hilarious because we're in overtime and people are leaving to watch Raw, but I'm going to make this quick announcement anyway. It's also hilarious because Joe has no idea and it kind of affects him slightly. The Thursday streams, yeah, they are the AEW Dynamite review. The WrestlePurists podcast branding is moving to Sundays. So the AEW, the actual show itself on Thursday isn't changing. It's just we're calling it the AEW Dynamite review because that is what it is, and that's what it's been for a minute now. WrestlePurists podcast is going to be kind like a new but it's not a new podcast because it's going to be WrestlePurists podcast, but that'll be more kind of like the old podcast that we used to do, where it's a lot more like open. There would be more people on screen coming in and out. It'd just be kind of like just a lot more just like free flowing, debates. I'm sure there'll be arguments, bits, agendas, just talking graps. Just like I said, something a bit more free flowing, like what we used to do. So yeah, new Sunday show, people. And Will Chisholm, $5. So how long will it take AEW to work with Stardom? Who knows? And how long will it take for WWE to work with Ross's new company law? We'll see, man. Like I said, it's a very interesting time with all these firings and movement in Japan. And we appreciate you guys for watching. Appreciate the super chats from all of you guys as always. But most importantly, please like and subscribe on your way out. Thanks for watching. And we'll be back tomorrow with the Raw review. Peace.